This tutorial is about the words of Jesus visual that we've created. And this came about in a kind of interesting way. 3 or 4 years ago, I believe the Spirit of God challenged me or prompted me with an idea, kind of a novel idea. Since the church that we are dealing with is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and since they disagree with Jesus, then why don't we find the statements Jesus made that contradict with Mormon theology, Mormon doctrine? So as I was studying, I found in the book of Matthew a number of topics that I believe are contrary to the doctrines or to the teachings of Mormonism. I then went through Mark and Luke and found similar topics, and John and found similar topics. So I went through and I outlined them using just a simple word to kind of express what the doctrine was that they were disagreeing with, such as the Bible, one God, that we are to love our enemies. The LDS Church certainly doesn't love their enemies. They treat us with contempt because they feel like we're attacking their religion. We're only attacking to the sense that we don't want them to believe things Jesus didn't teach, or we don't want them to follow things that are contrary to the teachings of Jesus, because if you don't believe Jesus, you can't be saved. It's impossible. So just all of these different topics, family, prophets, church, forgiveness, all of these topics taught by Jesus that we discovered were very clearly contrary to the doctrines of the Mormon Church. So what I did, and I'll just show you mine, I took this white piece of paper with all these different ideas on it, and then I took markers and marked them so that I could find them easily. So the doctrine of God is all green, so I can just go through and look for green ones and find the doctrine of God, or yellow for whatever. So you can kind of create your own method, but it helps you to find these. And each one of these, as you study them, what Jesus is teaching is contrary to the thinking, to the theology, to the doctrine, to the philosophies, to the principles taught by the Mormon Church. And this is quite a bit. There's a lot of differences in the LDS Church. We then took the major differences and we created several other tracks out of them. So this is where the 4-step eternal marriage track came from. Through this study, we were able to do this. It's also where the Jesus survey came from. Through this study, we created the Jesus survey. We also created the Jesus challenge, which is basically identical to the Jesus survey, but this is something you would just hand to a Mormon and have them do it on their own at home. And so we've got these different handouts that were created as a result of this handout that we created about the teachings of Jesus. The interesting thing is that as I really dug into what Jesus was teaching and started to try to find areas where the Mormon Church was not in perfect line with what Jesus was teaching, it actually challenged me. And so I would encourage you to download the Words of Jesus handout, go through and study these important topics that Jesus taught, and consider in your own heart and your own life whether or not you perfectly line up with the teachings of Jesus as well. We don't want to be hypocrites. We're going to challenge the LDS people with that. And if we don't allow that to affect us as well, then we're missing the whole point. So that's this handout.